All right, howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the RedAss podcast. This is going to be, oh my gosh, we've lost count of the episodes at this point. What, 17?
16, 17? I don't know. You know what? We're past a baker's dozen, so I feel like we're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say, just kind of been cruising. We're going to losing count on those, but.
well, dude, we are finally in like the depths of football season, so we'll go back and I'm sure we'll number it correctly, but I'm more concerned about football than I am what number we are.
Right, exactly. Well, that's a good stuff this week, though. This is Rob White, Fighting Texas Ag class of 2014.
And Roy May, Fighting Texas Ag class 2015.
Yep, and what we wanted to do is just kind of run our normal schedule this week. We're in the depths of football, so there's plenty of football to talk about. We do want to kick things off with the number one team in the country, Clemson. Took on the only top...
Little round football.
Okay. Yeah.
Not just the SEC.
Yeah. Just kind of all around. We're going to hit up the first one out of here. We got Clemson and Miami. The only top 10 match of the week, and kind of a blowout, really.
I was amazed by that. I got to be honest. I didn't think that Miami was going to win by any means.
No.
But I thought that spread was massive. We picked that on the fan show, and it was 14.5 points. And what I'd seen from Miami so far was an aggressive defense. Obviously, Manny Diaz, you're going to see, really defensive minded. And an offense that was clicking, not full blown, insane, but they were doing well. And when an offense bogs down, but you have a dynamic quarterback like Miami has, you can make plays and you can still move the chains. And I think it's more of a positive for Clemson than it is a negative for Miami. I still think Miami's really good. I still think they're going to win probably the rest of their games. Unless, maybe North Carolina will be one. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
but
we'll definitely touch on that.
But I think Miami is incredibly dynamic. I think they're really good, and I think it's a little bit kind of like us right now. We got smoked by Alabama, but clearly we're not the team. We're not the team that loses by that many points to everybody. It's not like, for all the people that wanted to throw everything out after the Bama game. Mm-hmm. And like we said, that wasn't the case. It's Bama.
Right.
So I think Miami, how they respond will be interesting. And I said something about Florida. We'll get into that later. But how Miami responds will be very interesting, kind of in the same way of how we were able to respond post-Bama. Because they just got their doors blown off by a really, really elite football team. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what you take from that. I did really think they were going to cover the spread, though.
No, I do think Clemson just proved what we already knew at this point. They are the number one team in the country. They are rolling along and just doing what they've been doing.
Well,
Trevor Lawrence was absolutely fantastic again, 29 of 41. Had almost 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns.
Yes, but I would have been coin flip on them or Bama had it not been for the outcome of the Bama-Ole Miss game, which, again, we'll get to.
For me, it's Clemson.
If Alabama had put Ole Miss away early and easy, I think we'd still be saying, yeah, they're the two best teams in the country. But right now, you're looking at Clemson, who just – they put Miami to sleep, man.
Right, yeah,
I mean, they just blew them out of the water.
Yeah,
so
they're just steamrolling.
Yeah, right now they deserve every single one of their first place votes.
Right, and so they're just kind of doing the thing. Early slate game that wasn't ours in the great state of Texas. You had the Red River Shootout, and it really kind of lived up to its name for the first time in a while. You did have a game that went to what, double overtime?
No,
quadruple overtime. Yeah,
overtime.
Quadruple overtime. So we didn't even get to deal with the new rules with the overtime yet. Thank goodness. But you had a Texas and Oklahoma go the distance.
The distance plus.
I'd say blown leads, missed field goals, terrible football, and a final score that was over a combined over 110.
Well, we talked about this last week. I thought OU would get everything right. I didn't think OU was nearly as bad as they looked. I thought Texas was a tech collapse away from being 1-2 heading into that game as well.
Right.
So OU's just got the better talent, and that's something that, man, we've not us necessarily, but just everybody, Aggies everywhere that follow recruiting know that there is an impressive level of recruit inflation that occurs when a kid first considers Texas and then commits to Texas.
We saw that.
And we saw it on the flip side. Got tweeted out a couple times by Hop from Texags.
Uh-huh.
But Texas doesn't have the horses, and that's all there is to it. I think Sam Ellinger is a good quarterback. Again, I think we've talked about it. I think he might have a future in the league somewhere in the Taysom Hill kind of thing. Like he can throw here or there, but he can run. He's a battering ram. But when it all comes out in the wash, especially when you play 4 quarters and 4 overtimes, the talent will eventually show itself. Whether you have the better talent or you have the lesser talent. I think that's what you saw Saturday in the Cotton Bowl.
Right.
And I didn't shed a single tear for Texas whatsoever. I thought the game should have been over earlier.
No doubt it should have been. I think you look at these two teams, honestly, just two teams that probably, in previous years, even this year, people would say they should be on another level, but they're both playing kind of subpar football, and it's been shown a lot of ineptitude from both.
No, see, and here's the catch: Oklahoma, relatively speaking, is playing subpar football.
Sure.
Texas is playing
Texas football,
how they play and how they've played for the last decade, and that's the hardest pill to swallow for fans of Texas, and they don't want to admit to it. But if they'll just sit down and look at the records, there are 3 teams in the Big 12 that they have 500 or better record against, and it ain't OU. It's Kansas, it's Tech, and I know it ain't TCU.
So here's the thing. I have the stats since 2010. So we're just going back a decade. Not going that far back. We're going back a decade. They are 2-7 versus TCU. They are 3-9 versus Oklahoma. They're 3-7 versus Oklahoma State. They're 4-4 with West Virginia, 5-5 with Baylor, and 5-5 with Kansas State. And as a nice little cherry on top, they're 5-12 versus Power 5 non-conference opponents, excluding bowl games.
Who are the teams in their conference that they're above 500? I know it's Kansas, and surprisingly, it's not a clean slate.
It's Kansas, Texas Tech, Iowa State.
Is it Iowa State?
Iowa State. Well, they're ahead of Iowa State. I mean, just from Iowa State doesn't beat them very often.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. But so here's the catch, Sips. Like, I know you don't want to admit to it, and we didn't want to say it in the Fran years. This is who you are. This is exactly who you are. And there are so many things that go into it. It's how your media blows up recruiting rankings to make you think that you have better classes. It's your head coach who has no business running a major Division I program. I didn't say blue blood, by the way.
Right.
A major Division I program. It's your fan base and your donors, and every big program has donor issues, and we're not exempt from it. But y'all's donors are super special. Right. It's the guys that write these massive checks and decide that they need to be sitting in meetings with the athletic director and the head coach. So it's a combination of things, and then to top it off, it's the arrogance to think that you're a blue blood program and have every right to win and have every right to have whatever coach you want. And if you would shut up. Like, just take one step back and look at the records that he just posted. And that was like, what, Bob Ballou or whatever it is? I think he was the original one that posted that out on Twitter. Look at your records against the teams in the Big 12. You keep talking about, we need to move conferences. This conference is dying. First of all, you're the ones that kept it alive, so enjoy the bed that you made.
Exactly.
2, you're not getting to the SEC. And it doesn't matter that you've had this epiphany that you've decided that you'll go past your crystal clean program, which is yet again another piece of big fat bullshit because you guys cheat like everybody else. You're not getting the SEC because we have a one-state deal at this point because the SEC is established.
Yeah, they're not going to change that.
The fact that you think that you're Stanford academically is laughable. When the Ags in Missouri left to go to the SEC, all the academic rankings in the Big 12 took a hit, and the SEC took a big jump. So if you'd shut up with the talking points you read and actually research, you'd realize that you're wrong there. The Big 10 may not want you, but they'll probably take you for the name recognition, and that's a market they're trying to break into because recruiting in Texas isn't always easy for the entire Big 10.
Nebraska would love that.
Right. It's easy for a program like Ohio State and maybe Michigan, but breaking into Texas is tough for the Big 10. The SEC was already in Texas, and that's all there is to it.
Right.
It's the same region of the country, that Bible Belt, southeast. And the Pac-12, like, bro, if you want to start playing at 10 o'clock Central Time, man, go ahead. None of us give a shit.
No.
But the funny thing is, if you get out there and you think that you're the academic equal of Stanford might laugh in your face.
No doubt.
Publicly. So this is the bed you made. If y'all would be a little more realistic about it, and what did we hear from Byrne years ago? Manage your expectations.
Right.
You don't need to manage your expectations. Just try living in reality. Live in reality and actually take a step back and look what you're getting fed, not just from the athletic department, but what you're getting fed from Surly Horns and Inside Texas, all this other bullshit. that they're giving you all these false hope and all these recruiting rank bumps and all this other bullshit from rivals, and realize that where you are is exactly where you should be, given how you've recruited and who you've hired. And that's just the shit sandwich you get to eat. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
I don't like spending too much time on Texas because this podcast is not a SIP podcast.
No, it's not. And like I said,
and they ain't listening anyway.
They ain't listening anyway. It's just fun banter, and we enjoy it. So moving on. After that, I said we just hit. I think we're going to hit 3 non-conference games. The other one that was kind of the fun one of the day, honestly, was North Carolina, Virginia Tech. That was a high-scoring game.
Yeah, there's a top 10 coach at North Carolina who just beat another ranked opponent by, gosh, how many?
Final score is 56-45, so it was 11 points.
Yeah, so he beat him by 11 points, scored 56 points. The Sips should thinking about they should really consider hiring North Carolina's head coach.
Yeah, I'm about to say that guy's got a nice established history, doesn't he?
He can probably recruit. He might. I mean, old Buttertooth might be able to deal with the donors and the press. And you know what's funny is I love it. Speaking about the Sips and Mac and all this, they talk about the demands of being the head coach at Texas like it's like owning the Cowboys, like it's that many demands.
It's really not.
But there's a lot of demands that are unnecessary that y'all allowed to go on. And that's why Mac's gone. All right? That's why you've had Charlie, and that's why you now have, titty twisting Mensa Herman. All right?
Right.
So I'm just afraid that the Sips are becoming self-aware and are actually starting to see Herman how we've always seen him.
Right.
But yeah, North Carolina, I got to be honest, Mac's got it rolling, man. And they love that dude, and they play for him, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll say good on him. I mean, like I said, I've always liked Mac Brown as much as I do not like the University of Texas, as much as I don't like dealing with all the stuff that had to happen during those years, which were really Texas's second real wave of relevancy outside of the 60s and the 70s. This is the second real wave of that happening, and it was all thanks to Mac Brown. Mac Brown did so much. I mean, even during his early years with Texas A&M, when Bonfire fell, he was super supportive and very classy, and he's always been supportive.
And he juggled, all the unnecessary add-ons of pressure that come with being the head coach at Texas.
Right.
And he did it well. He did it with class, and they still showed him the door after, was it an 8-6 season?
They had a winning record.
It was 8-5, 8-6. Hey, Sips, go back and look at your record since Mac left. Wouldn't you kill for that?
I'll tell you, they are not great, guys. Yeah. I mean, how many bowl games have y'all missed in that time frame? Too many to count. Anyway.
They're touting bowl victories now.
Yeah, it's whatever.
All right, so let's get into real football. Let's talk about the SEC.
All right, so moving into the Southeast Conference. Just kind of going down our list here. Early games that did take place. South Carolina took care of Vanderbilt like we all assumed would happen.
Yeah.
But on a very surprising note, Missouri takes down LSU.
My dad and I were talking about this either yesterday or this morning. I can't remember. How surprising is it right now?
Well, I mean, with 2020, anything's possible.
Did you see? I mean, it literally looked like Missouri was out there doing a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Like when a panned out camera can't find an LSU defender in the screen on a dude running really what was a simple post. They had a flat post combo. It was obviously a blown coverage, but you're talking like not even in the picture, man. And they went back and they showed the angle right at the crossing route with the defensive backs. And the outside guy ran the post and cut in front of the corner. The safety was up tight. And when he cut in front of the corner, like the safety looked in at the out route, and then he saw the guy kind of at the same time streaking across his face, and he stopped, threw his hands in the air, and looked at his safety buddy like, "What are you doing?" Well, I don't know what he's doing right now, but maybe you should just go run after that guy and see what happens, as opposed to just standing there like, "Man, this is stupid and you suck."
Right.
Like LSU has way deeper problems right now than scheme.
Right.
It's because you got torched, and that wasn't the only one where we saw a Missouri wide receiver running like it was flag football at elementary school, and you had the one dude that was like the fastest kid in school as your receiver.
Call it weird, but I mean, looking at the rest of the West, it's hard to argue that outside of maybe Mississippi State, LSU is looking to be one of the weaker teams, which is just wild to think.
Does LSU get Vandy this year?
They already played them.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they played them last week. But no, I mean, like LSU took Vandy to the woodshed, but then loses to Missouri on what was a wonky weekend because they were supposed to be a home game. But obviously, Hurricane throws things around.
But they even left a day early.
Right.
So, Dude, it ain't so wonky that you lose to Missouri.
No, you shouldn't lose to Missouri on that situation. You shouldn't.
So, you know what, though? It happens, whether the travel
and the worst.
Well,
right.
that maybe the travel arrangements, but I'm telling you right now, LSU losing to Missouri couldn't happen to a better group of folks in my mind. And honestly, I wish you lost by another 30. I can't stand LSU. I've never liked LSU. So the fact that they're absolutely shitting the bed right now is almost as enjoyable as what we did on Saturday. I'm not kidding. That's how much joy I'm finding in LSU's failures.
Well, it was really entertaining, especially, you're coming off of the national title, and we all know they lost so many parts and pieces. We get that. And we knew this was going to be, at bare minimum, a rebuild year.
Yeah, but still a lot of talent.
This is incredible.
It's LSU. Like, it's not quite to Alabama reload, but, man, it might be the closest thing out there outside of Clemson.
Right.
So you got the talent. So now it's an internal issue. Right. I'm not saying they have, like, locker room issues, but they're having issues. Dude, you went and hired Bo Pelini.
Right.
Why not just not have a defensive coordinator and save the money?
Right.
The state of Louisiana is basically broke all the time anyways, as long as they're not stealing money from children's hospitals.
Right.
So why not just fire your defensive coordinator, don't pay him anything, and just not have one? Right. It can't get worse.
Can't get worse.
It can't.
No. So, next game on the slate, this was SEC 230 game. You had your, early on was an intriguing game, and then just kind of the wheels fell off there. But you had Georgia and Tennessee. Georgia ends up pulling away in the second half, 44-21.
I didn't think it was going to be intriguing.
No.
It was a 12.5-point spread, and I told y'all Georgia was finding its stride. Georgia was going to push them around, and that's exactly what Georgia did.
In the second half.
And that's fine, though.
But what I'm saying, what I was getting to my point was, it was another game kind of similar to what you saw with Arkansas. Not as slow, but they were trailing at the half to a team that they should theoretically be better than. And they did absolutely make their adjustments and shut the game down. Yeah,
but you hate to see those first halves, but they can obviously recover. Tennessee didn't put up a point in the second half.
No, they didn't. They
so right now, I think Georgia's the class of the East, and I don't think that's really that difficult to say.
No, it's really not. I mean, like I said, defensively, obviously, they made their adjustments, and offensively,
it's weird to say that Georgia would rally for a 23-point win.
Right.
they rallied and then buried them.
Right. Okay, so a few more games here. So one that ended on quite a bit of controversy.
Absolute trash.
Absolute trash. But you had Auburn finish off Arkansas a late field goal, 30-28.
A late backwards pass that was called grounding,
which absolutely
and Arkansas
did
recover it, so immediate recovery, even though they refused to say there was one. They've already come out and said it was wrong. Which when that happens, like, I would rather just not get a comment from. Honestly, I'd rather, like, you basically just telling me that your officiating yet again has screwed up a game to the point where somebody got totally hosed. And I'm not sitting here rooting for Arkansas, bro.
Trust me.
But man, screw Auburn. Bo Nix is not the answer. They shouldn't be 2-1.
And not at all.
And of the games left on our schedule, that's not one at the top for me.
No,
it's not right now.
Even on the road, it's not going to be that big of a
deal. Bo Nix is more of a name than he is a talent right now, because you thought his sophomore year he was really going to break through. He's looked like crap. He's doing simple things wrong.
Right.
And to be honest, they should have lost to Arkansas. Yeah. And I don't really know how good Arkansas is. I am just fascinated watching the Sam Pittman experiment. Mm-hmm. But none of that matters, because SEC officiating, again, I've said it just for years, the best conference in the land has the most garbage officiating in the land.
It's incredible. It seems to happen every year, too. It's like there's so many instances of this happening. And I think the silliest thing they could have ever done is create an official Twitter, because everybody gets after them now. It's incredible.
Well, I went to tag the officiating. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to tag the conference.
You got to.
Because, I mean, if they're not seeing that, I doubt they're checking their Twitter.
No, absolutely not.
If you're missing the calls you're missing, I highly doubt they have somebody in charge of Twitter.
Right.
Because if you create that Twitter account, how do you even respond?
Right.
And I get it, because like 90% of it's going to be people complaining about a holding call somewhere earlier in the second quarter that blah, 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 that in the grand scheme of things won't cost them the game. But man, you're talking about an incredibly egregious call that you had a replay to get right, and yet you still screwed it up.
So I mean, I feel, and I don't like to feel for Arkansas, but I feel for Arkansas. I understand the frustration there.
I would feel for any team in that situation.
That sucks.
Because that is literally the one time, and I get it, like, well, they could have done more in the game. No, you know what? I got to be honest. Arkansas put up, 28 points? I think Arkansas might have done everything they could have done be there.
No, truly, this was an egregious error that changed the course of the game.
It cost them a win.
It absolutely
and
did.
Gifted one to Auburn.
It absolutely
and it's trash.
Right. So, I mean, but I will say, kind of to that credit, looking at Arkansas now, I think Pittman and Arkansas is a little bit of trouble.
I think it'll work. I'm not sure I'm that concerned this year just yet.
No, but
because at the same time, closing out games, because they did have opportunities to stop Auburn.
Right.
But I'm not looking forward to that game.
No, it's and that'll be the next home game at Cotfield. So get there, get early, have fun. So we got 2 more games here on the slate. I'll go ahead and flip these. No, we'll go and go with this one. So we have Alabama, Ole Miss, absolute track meet of a game. Final score ended up being 63-48.
Did not see that coming.
No, and
I think the over/under was like 50 something.
I mean, like they both almost covered.
Both almost covered themselves.
So it's just like, and literally, if you look at the scoring in this game, it could not have been more back and forth. It was back, forth the entire freaking way. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it just goes to show you that Lane Kiffin's going to be a problem, and I think again, I think both Mississippi experiments are going to end up failing, but the only reason I thought Lane Kiffin was going to fail, again, was because of sanctions. I think Lane Kiffin's really good at football, really good at football operations. I think he has grown enough to understand that he has to put a lot more emphasis on the other side of the ball.
No kidding.
And now, granted, you didn't see it against Alabama, but Alabama went from football game to shootout mode, and Alabama can still do that. So Alabama was able to do that against Ole Miss. And again, though, I mean, Florida put a ton up on Ole Miss. So their defense obviously isn't elite or even close to being able to deal with teams like that.
No.
But if I'm Alabama, I am spazzing out about giving up 48 points to anyone.
Anybody, yeah.
Anyone.
Right, and see, like I said, if I'm Nick Saban, I mean, I loved what he said at the end of the game. They said, so I'm like, are you mad right now? He said, well, I'm not mad at my offense.
yeah. My dad and I were talking about that this morning. He goes, I wouldn't want to be an Alabama defensive player this morning.
Not a chance.
I don't even know I would have wanted to be one last night.
No, and so you look at, Ole Miss, yeah, absolutely, they put up a ton of points. And you got to wonder how much of that was, hey, it's first year gimmicky stuff, trying to get used to it, whatever, or was it just Ole Miss had a good scheme?
I would probably say the answer lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss definitely was doing some slinging that you're not going to see them do every game. I think Lane Kiffin was doing everything in his power to beat Nick Saban. And, emptying the playbook, just everything balls to the wall. But Alabama was able to survive a scare. And they were able to survive a shootout, which I think is way more frightening. Because now you're saying Alabama can be in a shootout. So, yeah, the quarterback for Alabama, Jones, the kid is good. He's good. And if you got a defense that's going to give up gaps and holes, he's going to, or little windows here and there, he's going to be able to find them. If you can't put him on his back all game, if you let him stand up back there, he's going to pick you apart. And we saw that too.
No doubt. And I guess this leads us to the last SEC game before we get into ours. And that was including our next week opponent, where all of a sudden you're seeing an offense which was high-flying, death-defying in the first week to going around and scoring 0 points on offense.
The other Mississippi experiment.
Right.
So here's what's funny. This is where you're talking about, is it scheme or is it kind of just,
talent,
we were talking about
right.
you were talking about with Kiffin. I'll tell you what I think about Mississippi State, and after 2 more games, this is exactly what I think about Mississippi State. I think week 1 against LSU was absolute luck bullshit. LSU was in no way prepared for it.
I think
and
you're
Mississippi
right.
State threw the ball, 68 times?
Right.
So I was absolutely, even average to above average quarterbacks will hit wide open receivers all day. They just will.
Yeah.
Against any defense. If you're not covering somebody, they're going to hit him. He may not get a lot of yards after the catch, but he's going to throw it and dude's going to catch it. So, but I think what you're seeing now is Leach trying to bring a full-blown Pac-12 offense until maybe he feels like he's got some personnel to play more SEC offense against SEC defenses. And, man, Mississippi State put up 2 in the top of the third kind of thing. Like, probably scored 2 points, which means they didn't score any offensive points. And they have, they had 6 picks? Something like that?
Yeah, they got intercepted 6 times.
They have, I think they might have more turnovers than the Astros have men left on base.
Yeah.
So, if not, it's close. It's close.
Let's
So,
get
the last
that.
2 games, they look like absolute trash.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's Leach. You never know.
Yeah, and we will definitely get into more with Leach as we analyze next week. But let's go ahead and get into this week's game. This past week, we had Texas A&M and Florida in a game that we both were not super optimistic about. And you know what? They showed us. They showed us something.
Yeah, well, they showed us a lot.
They showed us a lot.
Not all of it positive, not all of it negative. They showed us a lot. So, I mean, I don't know, I was trying to think about a better way to go about this. So, the positives or the negatives fixes, or, maybe we should do Army style. We do AARs, after action review. Do 3 sustains and 3 improves. So 3 things that we did well that we should keep doing.
Sure.
And 3 improves, which are 3 things we screwed up that we need to fix.
Okay.
So it's a 3 sustains. So we're going to go AAR model.
All right,
so
we'll just go and do that.
And we'll just
in
go
the
back
future.
and let's go back and forth. So the sustains will be easy. And when you have a successful mission, you'll have a million sustains, and you'll be stretching to find the improves.
Right.
But so we'll say at least 3 sustains, and we'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
And I'll let you go first, so I don't steal your first thunder or anything.
Sure, no, that's fine. So I mean, kind of looking at my sustains this week.
No, you get one. We're just gonna bounce and forth.
You
get one.
I get one. All right.
Yeah.
So my first one, I will go ahead and put out here. Receivers catching the ball.
Ah,
Right?
yes.
Okay, so
no more dropsies.
Right, yeah, no more dropsies. So all of a sudden, our problems from the last couple of weeks, offense has been a little slow in the catching department. All of a sudden, doesn't matter how tight the window is, they're catching the ball.
And that was something we talked about as something that needed to be improved that maybe just could be improved.
Right.
All right. I got one.
Okay.
Mond.
Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond had an absolute monster game.
He looked
And
fantastic.
you talked about how tight the window is. Well, to catch a ball in a tight window, the ball has to be thrown in the tight window.
Right.
There were 2 throws that I saw all game long that were just full-blown bleh.
Right, just overthrown, not good.
2.
Yeah.
What did he go for, 338, 348, something like that?
Yeah, 338.
Yeah, so phenomenal game. I thought he managed the team well. I thought he managed the passing game well. I thought he I thought he threw into tighter windows than I thought he could throw into.
I mean, he threw into quadruple coverage and they caught.
He threw a couple of deep balls.
Yeah.
One was really good. One was good. The one that was just good was the one to Chapman.
Which,
it was short, but you want to talk about next level play from a receiver. The way he uses his body to shield the defender, which he has every right to do after jumping, using his body to shield the defender. There's a ton of pictures going around, and they're really kind of from the pylon looking back. And you can see, just still photos, and you can see how he used his body because the defender had his arms out like he was trying to pick it off, but he was facing towards the sideline because Chapman as he jumped up, used his hips and his ass, and he bumped him out of the way and caught it. And I hate that, it obviously ended in an injury for Chapman.
Well, and he's done for the year from what I'm reading.
He's done. He's got 20 ACL.
Yeah.
But man, what a way to go help out your quarterback, who didn't throw a bad ball by any means.
No.
Could have been better. Could have been 3 or 4 yards further.
I'm about to say it was a B ball, and he turned it into an A+ play.
It was a ball that your receiver still had a chance to make a play on.
Right.
And you know what Chapman did? Went up and made a play.
He did.
All right, you're sustained.
Perfect.
Right.
Enough
about Chapman. My point was Mond.
Right, and Kellen Mond.
I saw a tweet the other day. It must be absolutely miserable for all the curmudgeons out there that were like, I'm not watching Aggie football and screw Kellen Mond.
Right.
What a miserable Monday for you, man.
That's like all of a sudden, hey, guess what? He actually did the job.
Yes.
Good for him.
Sorry you didn't watch it.
So, man, a grown-ass man, Isaiah Spiller.
Ooh.
Grown-ass man. Moving the ball it's his... there were no obstacles. It didn't matter.
Well, the beast mode run, man. And
yes.
I put on Twitter, I was like, I need some nerds to turn this into the beast mode. And what some people maybe didn't see, and if you've seen the replay, maybe you understand. Running backs bouncing off corners and safeties just happens.
It happens.
Bro, he just completely blew up their middle linebacker. That's who that was. That wasn't a corner. That wasn't a safety.
Flattened the dude.
That was the middle linebacker he ran over for a touchdown.
I'm about to say he had 174 yards, 27 attempts. He was averaging 6.5 per carry.
Yeah, we were at 6.1 as a team. So he
Yeah.
went for 174 and Chapman went for 154. First time in the history of the program we've ever had receiver
150.
running back combo.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to piggyback. We'll do one more sustain, then we'll get into the proofs.
Okay.
The piggyback on that was, I believe it was played for it, and I put this out on Twitter, and nobody was talking about it when it happened. The announcers really didn't even mention it, which was amazing to me. We ran an option to the near side that was just blown up. You know, the receiver was pushed back. You clearly had defensive linemen and linebackers scraping down. This was going to be a bad option, and Anias cuts in front of Kellen Mond, makes a block, and Kellen Mond turns what should have been 4 or 5 negative yard play, and it was a 2-yard positive play.
Right.
And I can almost swear that was the play right before the touchdown.
Right.
So instead of being 4th and 7 and deciding what you're going to do, it's 4th and 2. You trust your team. You give it to Spiller.
Right, and they did.
The amount of football brains required, not to mention the speed to make it happen and the quickness.
Of course.
But the kid isn't just a talented football player. He is like, his football IQ is clearly off the chart. Cuts in front. He knows that he sees that the option is dead. Cuts in front of Kellen. Makes a small little chip block from a dude scraping down the line, and Kellen's able to get positive yardage out of an option that should have honestly gone for at least -3, -4 yards.
Right.
So
it was well done.
and not to mention just Anias everything else. Anias.
Anias doing stuff.
All right, so improves. We're going to do 3, and I'm going to start because I want to
Go
end.
for it. Come on now.
So I'll end on what I really want to end on.
All right.
Improves. Florida was 4 for 4 in their first 4 drives, not just scoring.
Touchdowns.
They scored touchdowns. This is a problem.
We got to fix that. I mean, as good as Florida's offense has shown they can be, we need to fix that defensively.
You can't just let them, like in 4 drives, put up 28 points. You just can't.
No.
And I get it. I get the high-powered, high-octane Florida offense. I get it. But there were opportunities to stop things, and we didn't.
Right.
All right, so I'll let you do another improve, and then I'm going to go
I really hope I don't steal yours.
into length with mine.
Oh, I think I know what yours is.
I think you should know what mine is.
So I'm probably not going to highlight on that.
If you want to, we'll talk about it because I've got another one anyways.
Okay. Well, I mean,
It's nice to be angry after a win,
yes.
and not nearly as angry as after the Vandy win.
No, you're right. You're right.
But there are some these, and what's nice is other than unlike Vandy,
Right.
these are small things that we're hitting on.
Right.
Now, one thing I did notice, speaking of going 4 for 4 on drives, though,
Yeah.
and my buddy and I text back and forth during the game.
Yeah.
It keeps me from tweeting too much like a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Elko moved from the press box down to the sidelines.
Did he?
I think he did because I could
I
have
hope he
swore I saw him. And some defensive coordinators are better with the camera view up top in the press box. Some coordinators need to be down talking to their dudes, like right after plays happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was there was a big turning point in the game. And I don't know if maybe he just come down early or I don't know what it was,
right.
but yeah. So
So-
all right, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I mean, like I said, this may maybe not in length with what you're talking about, but probably in a similar vein. I'm just going to open up an umbrella and just put it all under this. We need to seriously focus on discipline.
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't mine. That was going to be the one if I did. Yeah.
Okay, so discipline.
bro.
So discipline for me. So
defensive discipline.
Defensive discipline.
Honestly,
And,
coming off of Florida.
Not calling out any individuals at all, but we know exactly who we're talking about. So you give up 2 personal fouls in this game that were both completely avoidable, and on top of that, one of them ends up leading to a score on the next play.
Quick sidebar: the first one.
It was
I was
iffy.
kind of okay. No, it wasn't iffy, but I was kind of okay with it. Like
I get it.
They came with a little attitude. You can flash it back. I was okay. The second one
was stupid.
Completely unacceptable.
Well, and it negated another penalty.
It was so basically you give up 2 touchdowns and you give up 30 yards of field position. Is
Right.
really what that ends up being.
Right, which, I mean, that didn't decide the game, but it can decide a game.
It can.
It certainly can. So I just, that's something that I think is not a hard fix.
It's not.
It's not. It's just you
No.
need to have game awareness, and you just got to come into the thought process of if this is going to hurt my team, why do it?
I don't know if it's game awareness. I think it might be emotional awareness.
Yes,
I think
also
that's
that.
probably what it is. I think just it's so much emotion, flying so high, flying around, flying to the ball, being hyped up, just loving your teammates and being
Right.
in the moment. And I
Trust me, I get it.
I do, but
I get it.
however, comma,
That's,
the better teams don't do that.
No.
You have to be able to keep your cool.
no, you absolutely need to keep your
And,
cool.
and it sucks. Look, it absolutely sucks, but you have to be able to. So it's, it was unfortunate, but thankfully it didn't cost us the game. You know what I'm saying? It didn't cost us the game.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about this will be our third improve. I said it. I was going to talk about it on Twitter. I'm an Aggie. I'm not going to lie about it. So I'm going to talk about it. All right? Holy clock management.
Jesus, why would we bring this up?
Because you know why? Because it's not a one-time and just one game issue.
You're not wrong.
It is one of the most fascinating things I've seen. And by fascinating, I mean I would like to use other F words, but we try to keep this nice and family friendly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, except for me saying shit all the time. But
So they don't bleep that on TV anymore.
You're right. Yeah, so we get down into the red zone, and we seem surprised.
Sure, like
As
crap,
though
we're
we
here.
were like, oh, well, that play wasn't going to work. So you're like, all right, you're looking at the clock, you're going, all right, well, this, we got time. We should be able to run maybe one, maybe two more plays. We got a timeout. We got timeouts in our back pocket. And there's yet again confusion. There's confusion. And
Right.
it is baffling to me because this isn't year one with Jimbo anymore.
No.
I understand
Year
a
three.
different system being confusing. I do get it. This isn't year one. It's not acceptable anymore. Period. End of discussion. So that is Jimbo's fault. It is Jimbo's sideline. It is Jimbo's coaches and assistants that are supposed to keep that in line.
Right.
The fact that we got down to that point, had nothing, had no play called or had no even thought which part of the play card to go to. We end up blowing an unnecessary timeout. We throw a pass. Next play, we throw a pass into the end zone, which doesn't get completed, but we get pass interference, which would have stopped the clock, would have moved us up. We'd have still had the timeout. We could have tried to run the ball in from the damn 1 or 2 yard line.
Right.
So it's just one bad decision. Literally, it's just dominoes that fall.
Snowball,
And man, we got away with it. It's like the discipline on defense. We got away with it, but how many more effing times are we going to get away with that crap?
Right.
How much have we seen this season burn timeouts because we can't get substitutions right? We can't get plays in on time. It is absolute trash. And I'm going to bang this drum until it gets fixed. And the only person that can fix it is the guy that gets paid to fix it. And all his assistants that we pay to fix it. And all the coordinators that we pay to fix it. Those coordinators hire the assistants. So figure it out. It is the most simplistic thing to ensure your substitutions are in accordance with the plays you want to call. And the fact you got in the red zone in a critical part of the game almost seemed just flat blown surprise. Like you were like, holy shit, we're down here. Put in it. No, put the other guy in. Now, you know what? Yeah, we'll just call it timeout. What in the holy dog shit are you doing?
Right.
So it's just, it blows my mind. And then you combine that with the fact you got dudes like Peter Burns. I love Peter Burns, AC Network. I love him.
Yeah, he's
love
real
following
good.
him on Twitter. He's a great follow. He's like, of all the teams in the SEC, you have a great shot. A&M should be favored the rest of the game. So now you got Peter Burns giving us all this freaking hope. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
And but you look at it and you think, all right, well, who are the teams that we have left on the slate? We really, truly, well, I mean, you got to worry about all of them. But who are the ones that really concern you? Tennessee concerns you. South Carolina's got to concern you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to South Carolina.
And they've been looking pretty good.
I hate to sound like a jerk. I'm not concerned about Mississippi State, but we'll get into a little bit why I think we shouldn't be.
We'll get into that, yeah.
But I think South Carolina and Tennessee are the two on your schedule really before you get to Auburn to where they're still concerned. Because, Auburn making late season runs, and it's just, I just, last week, that crap with Arkansas. And it's like all of a sudden, for some reason, the SEC wants Auburn to win. All the bounces go their way, which is crazy because they still find ways to lose games. But I think if you can handle Mississippi State this weekend, which I think we do, then I think you can handle Ole Miss, because if you can handle Florida, you can handle Ole Miss. All right? Ole Miss might be a high-flying offense, but they ain't got the talent that Florida does.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I mean, you look up and down that Florida offensive roster, you're talking about, at least at the skill positions, you're talking about some legitimate NFL first, second, third round dudes.
Right. That's why this was such a big win.
It was huge. So I don't want to end the review of the game on a negative, so I want to do two more sustains. If you get another one, that's cool. Sustain number one, when we turned the ball over and you're like, crap, that's kind of it, because the way Florida's been scoring, our defense found an answer.
They did.
They found an answer, and man, just huge. You know, when we needed the defense to truly come up, they did. And they did it against a high-powered offense. So I think that is absolutely massive.
It was absolutely. I mean, as much as we're going to harp on defense giving up touchdowns against Florida, they did step up when it mattered.
Everybody gives up touchdowns to Florida.
Everybody gives up touchdowns.
Not to mention we gave up to their big boys.
Right.
So there's my second one. Jared, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
All right.
2, man, wasn't it nice to see us give Florida a dose of their own medicine by showing them that Weidermeyer is just as talented?
He was so good. He looked awesome.
He is so good.
He bear-clawed ball one-handed on a third down pass.
I don't think I could
God
do that.
bless that guy.
I don't think I could do that in a flag football game.
No. That was fantastic. And I will say, you know what? If we're going to throw on, I'll throw on one more sustain, because it was a good win. I'll throw on one more, and it's more or less, it's an aesthetic thing, and this is for all you fine folks out there. Props to every single one of you that was at the game, because that atmosphere was pretty damn solid.
Made Dan Mullen turn into a ween. Actually, if you really read the comments, he wasn't like super bitching or complaining or anything. Like, it just shows you like the power of 12, the power of the 12th man.
It makes a difference.
And I think Old Army understands that. You know, it's limited capacity, so I feel like they're maybe making a little bit more noise.
They were around us.
And I always laugh about it, like, dude, even if you're 75 and just sitting at the game, like when it's an important
if
like
it's
possession
a third down,
right. just go like
it helps.
Dude, if everybody did that, it would be ridiculous.
Well,
so it's just, man, I'm right with you. The 12th man was phenomenal.
They did a great job, and you know, like I said, having been there, you know, you did kind of notice an energy, and it was a really kind of interesting energy in the game. You know, for like what really felt like what we've seen the last several years. All of a sudden, all the people, you know, like, yeah, we consider ourselves a RedAss podcast, but I'm not sure about you. But me personally, I don't mind booing a bad call.
I never have a problem booing a ref.
No, and that's where
I do it.
Right.
And that's where it is. But I'll boo a ref.
Right, and I'll boo a ref. And
Quit clutching your pearls about booing, please.
Right.
I get it. The horses laugh. Right.
But the booing absolutely ringing around the stadium after the personal foul call and the quick touchdown. That made a difference. It was loud in there with the boos. And immediately what that did was spurn every other drive past that. 12th man was rocking. So you can't tell me that it doesn't make a difference. Our disdain leads to gains. You can put that on a t-shirt.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. It's, you know, I thought the 12th man was phenomenal.
They did great.
I was thrilled by it. I sat at home and watched, and you know what? You absolutely noticed the 12th man. And the one thing I'll say about A&M, for as long as I remember going to A&M games and watching A&M games, which unfortunately is twice as long as you because I'm an old fart.
That's all right.
But good defense makes us rowdy.
It does.
And when we're rowdy, we play even better defense.
We do.
So it's, man, I just seriously tip of the maroon cap to every single person that was in the stadium, because you know what? There's no way it was except for you. Yeah, up to but not including.
All right.
But there's no way that it was just the students. So Old Army, y'all showed out. It was so awesome on TV. I don't know how much they were amplifying it, to be honest. I don't think they had too much.
No.
It was loud, and what's funny is when there's less people, but everybody's being super loud, there's still more echo. So it
rings
better.
around in there. That's the crazy part.
All right.
So next week, we can highlight few quick things.
I don't think there's more than a few quick things going into Mississippi State, and I'm sorry to hear. Sorry to say that if you're a Mississippi State fan listening, which
Hi, Stingray. We love you.
Yeah.
No, he follows me on Twitter. He's a good cat.
Stingray's awesome.
I love Stingray. And he's not really much of a Mississippi State fan anymore because the way the fan base harassed him for years.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, hell, he graduated from University of Alabama.
Well, that was meteorology, though.
Right.
That's why he went there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you don't follow, it was a Stingray SEC or something like that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Great kid. He's dropped also like 100 pounds. Trying to
he's
be
looking
healthier.
great. He's looking great. And see, he and I, like I said, that's one connection we share and one of the reasons why
you guys are weather nerds.
Because we're both weather nerds.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
So, I follow you because you're a weather nerd, so I don't have to do all the research.
Yeah, that's why you do it. So, yeah, I mean, I really want to touch on that. But let's do a quick round of the games next week.
Oh, just conference. Honestly, I'm telling you right now, I don't care about non-conference.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. We can
I don't think there's anything worth watching.
All right, let's go ahead and just hop in. So let's look at the SEC next week. All right, let's go week 7 of the year. You have Auburn at South Carolina. Auburn's a 3.5 point favorite. It's 11 o'clock in the morning.
At South Carolina?
At South Carolina. Do the balls continue to bounce their way, or does South Carolina show themselves? They're 1-2, and I think they have a chance to win that one.
I think South Carolina absolutely has a shot to win this.
Yeah.
And I hate Will Muschamp, and I hate Auburn, so
Go Cox.
I'm going to call a tie. I'm going to call they exercise the new overtime rule, and they eventually end in a tie.
Okay.
Because that way neither of them can be happy, which makes me happy.
That's fair.
I'll call my first tie and probably last tie ever.
There you go.
Dude, if I'm right.
Yeah,
if I'm right, I'm on a lottery ticket.
That would be really incredible. So you got Kentucky at Tennessee. Kentucky 1-2 coming off a win against Mississippi State. Tennessee reeling a little bit. We'll see.
Kentucky is nothing like what people thought they might be this year. They're just not. I think Tennessee is really good. I just think Georgia's that much better.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee will kind of pound it to them a little bit.
Right.
I don't know
point favorites.
I think Tennessee will win by 10 or 14.
Okay.
Tennessee's a really good football team. I'm just trying to tell you, Georgia's a really, really good football team.
I think you're right. Okay, here you go. So, kind of an intriguing game for us, considering a future opponent and one we just beat. LSU at Florida in the Swamp.
I would not want to be LSU this week.
No.
I said something about this. I just randomly posted it on Twitter because it popped in my brain, and apparently I'm losing filters when it comes to college football and Twitter. But Florida has 2 games to get the ship right.
Right.
Before they go to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
And get it figured out.
Because I mean, it's playing Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
So, I mean, dude, they might have full capacity. There's no telling.
I kind of want that to happen.
The state of Florida is insane.
They don't give a shit. I'm
Was
ready
it DeSantis or not the mayor or governor down there?
Whoever it is.
That guy's like, dude, let's build 130% capacity.
Let's go.
Rock it. I'm just like,
pile them in.
oy.
No, LSU
but dude, Florida has 2 weeks to get it right. They have LSU, and then I believe they have Missouri on the back end.
Maybe I'll just check next week.
So,
yeah,
I would not want to be LSU this week.
No.
I think Dan Mullen is going to destroy them, and you could tell me the line was 21, and I'd be like, yeah, Florida.
It's 13.5, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, this might be where Ed Orgeron has to start thinking about what he's going to do with Bo Pelini.
Right.
Which, if he'd have thought earlier, the first thought should have been, don't hire that meathead, but here we are.
Well, yeah, I could have told you that from the beginning. So, yeah, that intriguing game there. Another intriguing game of 2 teams that are both under 500. Believe it or not. Ole Miss at Arkansas. Both teams coming off of close losses to teams from Alabama. And honestly, I think the high-flying, death-defying offense versus Arkansas, who's shown a good defensive capacity, might be an intriguing game.
I think Ole Miss's offense, if what they showed against Alabama is kind of closer to what they are, I don't think Arkansas will be able to keep up because they're going to give up points. Arkansas isn't a defensive stalwart by any means. Mm-hmm. So they're going to give up points. So then the question is, can Arkansas keep up? And I don't think they can.
Right.
Arkansas, Felipe Franks, he's a fun story. I was thrilled for him, to see them kind of pull it out. But
yeah,
I can't see Arkansas winning that game.
I don't think so either. Vandy, Missouri got postponed. That's Toilet Bowl of the week, and that's not going to be a game.
Okay, you know what? That might have been my second tie. But it would have been closer to like 5-5.
Yeah, it could have been. So big game. This is big game of the week. That's going to be Georgia.
The 2:30 matchup.
Georgia at Alabama. And 6-point line to Alabama. Well, no, it's not even that. It's 6. It's gonna be 7 p.m. on CBS. Night game.
It was slated for the 2:30.
They pushed it back to 7 apparently. Night game is CBS.
Man,
Georgia. I
mean, the time slot doesn't matter.
The time slot doesn't matter, but God, it's like you feel like. I feel like I say this every year, like this is gonna be the time, but I just can't bet against Alabama because there's no point in doing it.
I would maybe think about it if it was at Georgia right now. Just kind of the way they're banging all cylinders. And the thing is, God, man, I don't know.
It's a tough game.
Well, I mean, the line's that tight. But I like you said, you can't. Why bet against him?
Well, I mean, everybody and their dog keeps saying Kirby Smart in Georgia is the future of the SEC as far as that being the dominant program. They haven't. I mean, yes, they've won the East, but they can't get over the hill.
He's running out of games to be the benefit of the doubt there.
Right.
He's had a lot of opportunities. Like Kirby Smart didn't get hired last year.
No.
So
I mean, he has to compete to get in a national title and had a shot against them.
Here's my call in this game, and it's probably not going to sound too different about how these games normally go. I think Georgia is able to take some early kind of blows, offensive blows from Alabama because nobody on the planet can cover Waddle in college.
No.
Nobody on the college planet can cover him. I think Georgia will punch back, but I think Alabama ends up pulling away. You're probably looking like a 42-30, 42-28 game. I think Alabama clearly showed they have firepower to just keep putting up points.
Right, and that's the deciding.
And I know Georgia defense is obviously better than Ole Miss. You don't have to text me or DM me that.
But I would still say Alabama's probably the better team.
Nick Saban owns Kirby Smart until he doesn't.
He owns his assistants until he doesn't.
Yeah.
So at this point, I mean, it's going to be Alabama. I can't bet against them. So all of a sudden you have yourself the 3 o'clock slot on SEC Network. That's A&M at Mississippi State. We open as a 6.5 point favorite.
Well, I think we cover. I think Mississippi State's turnover. You can't. When you have one bad week with a lot of turnovers, that's just sometimes an anomaly. They've had 2 straight weeks of really bad turnovers. They've benched the golden child that he chose as quarterback, or at least they benched him for a little bit.
Well, he has 6 touchdowns but 9 picks.
Yeah, that's not how you normally.
And over 1,000 yards passing in 3 games.
Yeah, well,
but still,
I wonder how many yards he has passing the other team too.
Exactly, plenty.
So this is, look. I grew up on the offensive side of the ball, so to me, nothing's easy on defense. But the way I look at it is, you don't sit back there and dime all day because you can't put that onus on our young secondary guys. Because if you try and play nickel and dime defense, not offensive nickel and diming, if you try and play nickel and dime packages in defense all day, you're going to get exposed because you have a bunch of really, really, really talented, super, super, super young kids. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to continue to push and pressure, and when you pressure, you're going to create turnovers. Right. And so I think that's kind of there. I think there's a happy medium. I don't think you go a 3-man front and just drop 8. I think that's the dumbest shit ever. No,
you can still keep 4.
But what you got to do is get home this week.
Right.
And if you can get home early, you don't have to worry about doing it often because you can get home early. They're going to change their offense, and that allows you to, you basically get to dictate your defensive scheme as long as you can get home quite a bit early. Right. So, and I think it's going to happen. I think our talent is far superior on defense.
It should be, yeah. I think so.
To the front 7. I think it's the front 7, and the front 7 can put enough pressure in. I think A&M kind of walks away with this game, and I understand that. You're kind of on a big high coming off the Florida game.
Which is obviously a concern.
But you also beat what I think was maybe not the 4th team in the country, but not that far off.
No, I think they're definitely a top 10 team.
Yeah, and then I think you combine that with the fact that Mississippi State is reeling, absolutely reeling, and that's not a recipe for upset. You got to get that BAS shit out of your mind. This is a recipe for us to go impose our will.
Well, I would say this is the game where we need to prove that we earned what we did last week.
Right. That's exactly right. Impose your will. If we want to pass, we should be able to pass. If we want to just pound the rock for 3 straight drives, we need to be able to show that we can do it. I am over the moon about how our offensive line looked.
Yeah, no, they played very well. Not a sack given up. They played well.
Dude, how can you complain?
No, you can't.
No sacks given up, and we ran for 190 total, I think, or something like
Whatever
that.
it was,
we ran for a lot of yards. And I get it. Florida probably has one of the worst defenses they had in a long time.
But still.
But those are things that even when you do it against maybe not top tier defense.
Yeah, we had 205 yards rushing.
The confidence that you build by doing that is way more important than who you did it against.
Right.
Because it's not like you did it against, like a Big 12 team that just isn't set up to play run defense at all. You did it against an SEC defense, SEC defensive talent that even though it may not have been the best, on Florida's end, we were able to go out there in that one drive where we just lined up and literally ran it down their throats.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, run the damn ball, man.
I tweeted at you as soon as that happened. I was like, there it is, go. Yeah, there you go, buddy. So I think we're able to. I don't think we need to throw for more than like 220 or 225, 250 this game. I think we need to. Just continue to just run the damn ball.
Yeah, I mean, and why not? And honestly, defensively, the only thing I want to see, other than the improvements we talked about, I want to see some turnovers. I want to see some picks.
But think about it, and when we were all probably at desperation mode watching the game, whether you're in Kyle or not, we turned the ball over, and you're like, good Lord, if we don't get a turnover, this is going to get ugly real fast.
I tweeted out a play before what I would give for a turnover right now, and it happened.
So and we got it. And another thing, breeds a lot of confidence. And you got a bunch of defensive players out there that know that they can get the ball turned over. So I have a ton of confidence going in this game. Just a ton.
I mean,
I don't think it's like there's no way we lose, obviously, but I expect A&M to kind of walk away with this. I would think Mississippi State's going to put up points, whether it's kind of testing our defense and we get realigned, or they put up some trash points. I think Mississippi State will be in the 20-28 range. Maybe they hit 30.
I was thinking like 42-24.
But what I'd really like to see us is really kind of get close to the 50 mark.
That'd be nice.
And so obviously I'm picking us to.
With Chapman out, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
You got Wright, you got Demas, you got Moose. You have a ton of talent. They're big, they're fast, they're very Chapman-esque.
Right.
So the talent is there. The experience may not be, but man, if there was a week to run it out, this looks like a great week to run it out.
I mean, this really is another kind of buffer week.
I think what you're really hoping for is really pretty weather.
Yeah.
To let those kids get out there and really worry about spinning the ball and running some deep 50-50 jump balls to Demas, because if it's a 50-50 jump ball, if Demas is there, it's 90-10, man.
Let's go ahead and check that.
But on the flip side of that, if it's just a slog like Quagmire kind of
wet, nasty game,
then Mississippi State's absolutely screwed.
Mm-hmm.
We won't
run it.
We won't put up 50 points, but we might run for 400. So ton of confidence going to this game. My biggest key for this game, again, obviously our running game, but my biggest key for this game, and I'm gonna dance. Looking primo.
It's 66.
And this is from the
44,
weather.
It's a high 66, low 44. It's gonna be clear.
That sounds like football weather.
That is football.
Let's go play some football.
That's great weather.
But I'm gonna continue to push the key that I think drives our offense, and I think I've pounded it all week. No. I don't think he's truly the key. My key to the offense, being able to both extend the field, spread the field, and run the ball, is Weidermeyer.
Okay.
Because he's a possession tight end where a 4 or 5 yard pass is just as good as a run because it's quick, it happens.
And he's good at it.
He's good. So I still think the offense somewhat runs through Weidermeyer. And as he sets things up, because you don't have to throw deep balls to set up the run. You just have to be able to complete passes.
That's right.
So when you take a guy out of the box that has to follow a tight end, or you leave him in because, man, he can block. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
So I think it's maybe kind of a either side of the scale thing. Weidermeyer sets up Spiller, sets up Weidermeyer, sets up Spiller. And then those two set up the entire passing game.
Right.
And even if it's just chunking away at 2-3 yards, but it's in between, it's always positive yardage. So I look for a big game this weekend. Just big game. Straight up.
There are a lot of good things to look forward to, I think, this week. So obviously,
And if not, we'll have a really long podcast next week.
Yeah, and Lord knows,
it'll be super duper angry.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
So just go ahead and win it. Make life easy on all of us.
Well, and this is a great game for the team to confirm what they just did, and then head into some games that are going to suck.
Right, and some games that might be a little bit tougher.
Right, and on the road, and so this is a great game to go on the road at Mississippi State. Going to be 75% less cowbells.
Right, thank God.
So this will be the game where you're able to go on the road and impose your will, and I think that'll be the biggest mental difference. They can go to Mississippi State and do what I think they're going to do. Now you've done it on the road. Now this team knows they can beat, at the time, number 4 ranked team in the nation. It's great.
Right,
I think it's great that they're ranked right above us because that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, sure.
And for all the rankings don't matter, they still kind of do. And then, to go on the road and do that as well. So I think the combination of this past Saturday, and if we can go to Stark Vegas and do what I really think and hope we're going to do, this team will be flying high, and South Carolina and Tennessee may end up just kind of being speed bumps.
Hopefully they are.
So this is, I think, as big as the Florida win was, this week is
critical.
Like, think about the last time we went to Mississippi State with all these expectations. Because I was a yell leader, we wore those god-awful white uniforms with the silver Texas outline on them.
I remember
those. Texas outline.
Those were gross.
So was the game. The game was grosser than the uniforms.
Yeah, and that was not fun.
So go to Stark Vegas, do what you do, impose your will, and man, this team is going to be flying.
I'd say they've got a lot of parts and pieces.
For all the complaints we had about a really great win,
it was a good win.
It was a good win. There's some things that still need to be cleaned up. I think a bunch of them are things that can be cleaned up, and then but end on a positive. I'm huge on the Ags this week.
I'm about to say, absolutely love it. Love the fact that we were able to pull that off. I mean, biggest win at Kyle Field since 2002, guys. Huge win.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for them. And so, hopefully this is the sign of future.
And lest we forget, 2 things. One, great pickup, Regis, the defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. And that happened on Saturday. You got lost in the shuffle because of the madness that was Saturday football.
Right.
And then Sunday, we completed the Gator sweep.
Aggie women's soccer. Aggie soccer. They did the thing.
Aggie soccer went out and beat Florida at Ellis. So
good for them.
Just a really great weekend. Honestly, the only stain on my sports weekend, honestly, from Saturday or Sunday.
Astros.
Well, no, that wasn't until Sunday.
Yeah, it was Sunday.
Excuse me, Saturday. The only stain on Saturday was that Miami didn't cover because I picked him to cover. Sunday, obviously, not that he's listening, or not that I don't know how many of y'all care about this, although I would think you care a little bit just as a human. Man, absolute. A million prayers sent up for Dak Prescott and his recovery.
That was awful.
That was gross, and I'm really upset that I actually caught the replay. I didn't mean to, and I turned around. I was like, "What?" As a dude that has really, really shitty ankles, I really didn't want to see the replay.
No.
And then great on Aggie soccer there on Sunday.
They look good.
And if the Stros could get their shit together, I would be greatly appreciative.
Fingers crossed. So.
No, never mind. We almost signed a guy, but then we didn't.
Whatever. All right, moving on. So at this point, just let's get personal things that we got going on this week. For any of you that are listening in the Brenham area, we are actually, my band is going to be playing in Brenham on Friday night at 4-Star Concert Hall. Anybody wants to check it out, by all means do so. And our EP release, so our music's coming out on the 6th of November. Look forward for that. I'm sure I'll post a link for it. As that situation progresses, so we'll go ahead and keep rolling with that. So,
I got nothing personal. I mean, Good Bull's up and banging away, man. We're back to, we got potatoes on the menu now every day. The barbecue style potatoes, and then Hump Day ribs came back last week. So Taco Tuesday tomorrow or today, if you're listening, and then Hump Day ribs are back. We got them till they're gone. So restaurants banging away. Looking forward to another great week. If you're in town and around, we do it from 11:30 to 6:30. Mm-hmm. Swing by for lunch, have all that good bull.
Yep.
Literally all that good bull. Waka, waka, waka.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're BYOB, by the way. So, if you're in town on Saturday and feel like grab some barbecue, maybe watch the football, we should have our Chromecast sticks. We should have our TV back up.
Okay.
We went with YouTube TV. YouTube TV. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday.
Whatever you say, bro.
It's about you. It's about YouTube, mate. So we should have football up on Saturday if you want to come in either before the game or grab an order and go home. And I don't like watching Aggie football in public. It's probably best for everybody.
Yeah.
But hey, man, what a great fun weekend.
Yeah.
It is so great to see this program turn that corner when it comes to big wins at Kyle. And again, I will all day, huge props and shout out to the 12th man and to the retired 12th man, Old Army up there in the stands in Kyle. It was great. Keep it up. All you Old Army guys, you got to realize that you got to make up a little bit for some students not being gone. You ain't got to show up to to work on Monday or church on Sunday without your voice, but make a little noise and have a little fun. Yeah. So I got nothing else, brother. I'm just gonna give a big old gig of.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure you guys do follow us once again along on all of our social medias. You can catch me at Robert_White14 on Twitter, RoyMay15 on Twitter, RedAss Podcast, guys. You can't catch us here on Spotify, YouTube. I'm working on Apple. I'm working on Apple. It's kind of a pain to get with them, but I'll be working on that. So you guys, we appreciate you catching in. Beat the hell out of Klanga.
Yes, please. If you guys got anything you want us to talk about or address or anything coming up for the games coming up or just kind of anything in general.
But anything else in general? We're not just a sports podcast.
I will talk about barbecue. I will talk about cooking, baking. I don't care.
Yeah.
So,
y'all hit us up. Let us know what's new.
You guys ever got anything you want to hear us just ramble on about? So, all right, man. Hey.
Hey.
Good game. Good game.
Good game.
All right,
Good game.